Yo, what is up, guys? Jared here. And if you guys have been following the channel for the past couple weeks, you will know that I was entered in the Crush Card Cup. Out of the 11 rounds, we played 10 of them. We were dropped from the 11th round from miscommunication from reporting between me and my brother, but that's not a big deal. We were X3 going into round 11. Um, so that's a pretty good record, I would say. We were on the bubble, so yeah, I would take that record for 10 rounds of Swiss for over 500 players. We missed the last round, like I said, but it's fine, no biggie. But if you were watching those videos and you're keeping up, you would know that towards the end of the tournament, or mid to the end, so probably at least 3 to 4 rounds, we were playing Sky Striker, which I've been putting a lot of my time and effort into making more competitively viable for this format with Adamantipator and Elrich and upcoming dinosaurs and stuff like that. So I've been really trying to make this deck the best that it can be. And I'm going to show you guys some different things that I've been working with, some things that have changed, cards that I was thinking about playing and I decided not to play, and why I decided not to play them, things I haven't tested yet. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this video, but I wanted to be able to explain it all in just in one shot. I don't want to like break it up into different videos. That just seems more annoying than anything. So yeah, I'm going to keep it all in one video. So this first list that I have on the screen is the list that I am currently playing for any competitive tournament that I am in. Obviously, online tournament that I'm in. I like this list a lot so far. It has worked very well. It is clearly, by looking at the cards, it is teched out to hell for strictly the meta. Mostly for the rock deck, Adamantipator. That deck is ridiculous. So the boards that it can make, and plus and a lot of decks are issuing combos with Christian Needle Fiber or Huggy Fiber Axe, whatever it's called. And then with the Mecha Phantom Beast link into like Savage Dragon and Herald, there's like a lot of stuff going on in the current meta. It's like it's still changing and evolving. So as the meta changes and evolves, I find these new things that people are playing in these combo decks or these control decks. I have to find a way to mediate it and to incorporate it into this deck in a more logical and you know like in just a manner that makes sense, so that like my theory makes sense, so that I don't lose. Like I'm not going to put a bad card into my deck just because some people think it's good or some people think it's bad. So the list that I'm playing right now is 3 Ray, 3 Rose, and then obviously Rhoda. I play the max amount of Rose. I know that's questionable for some people, but I want to be able to play as much as I can. If you open up a monster, that means you can play. You can go into Shizuku and you have access to your deck, and I think that's the most important thing. And Hayate, obviously, you know, um, obviously Ray is the more optimal one to open up, but even Rose isn't bad. Just getting to the monsters is the most important thing in my opinion. So I would rather be able to play than play poorly than not be able to play at all if I open up no monsters, right? So that's my logic between playing the 3 Rose, because there's been more than a couple hands where you open up with no Rose or no Ray, no Rhoda, and you can't kill your own area 0 or something, or no Hornet drones, and it just really sets you back. So you don't want to be put in those situations. That's kind of just like an auto loss. Um, so yeah, I maxed out on the monsters. Then I play 3 Dark Ruler No More. That is obviously for the current meta with all the combo decks running around and what's going to be coming out in Eternity Code. This is post Eternity Code, by the way. If I didn't make that clear, or if you can't notice, some of the cards are from Eternity Code. But yes, 3 Dark Ruler No More. I think that is very good right now. Even if the Adamantipator board goes into Buster Whelp with the Union Carrier, you can still Dark Ruler No More, and then you can out it with Afterburner. Obviously, it's like specific, or you have Mystical Space Typhoon, so you have ways to still kill the Buster Whelp, so you can go into your extra deck and start facilitating your advantage. Lightning Storm. Like, there's multiple ways to kill the Buster Whelp. That's actually like one of the least worries that I have. I think you have like 8 outs or something. And then I also play the 2 Foolish Burial Goods and the Metaphors Fusion. I am so hit or miss on playing these cards. There's been so many times where I drop Metaphors Fusion. It is the most infuriating thing ever, but um, I'm going to say this strictly on a competitive standpoint, there is not a better engine that you can run that will be better than this. The other option was to go back to the Tune engine, which was or I mean, 3 Tune table of contents, and Tune Cyber Dragon is what it used to be, to go into Mega Fleet Dragon. But I opted to not go for that route because Elrich, for one, that is just completely dead. And two, I did not want to like a lot of decks aren't going into the extra monster zone now that Master Rule 5 is now here, or Master Rule, whatever revision, whatever you want to call it, is now here. A lot of people aren't going to extra monster zone as much, not as dependent on it. So some decks can just not use it at all. And it's the Toon Cyber Dragon is more of a brick in itself. If you draw multiples, it sucks. This is just more statistically is just better for number wise and will do better over time. Even if it's only two spells and Toon Tables three, most 99% of the time you're gonna have another spell you can drop before playing something like an Afterburner or the Widow Anchor to start breaking a board. Um, I also play two Forbidden Chalice. These were infinite impermanences before, and I decided to change them to Forbidden Chalice because I needed more spells, as I said, to facilitate to get my Skystriker cards effects online. There's always a trouble in the early game where you cannot get them online, and every spell counts. I really mean that. It is very very hard. So when you are playing in a grindy matchup and you cannot get that third spell engraved, Chalice helps. And there was not really a lot of times where impermanence was better than Chalice. Yeah, sure. There's times where they can go like, you can impermanence on their turn and like maybe stop their turn, but a lot of times I find myself just holding it for my turn just so I could break their board easier. Um, so yeah, and then we played three Lightning Storm. This card, it's Raigeki or Harpy's Feather Duster, and it's a spell card. Like I don't think I need to explain Lightning Storm. Yeah, a lot of the decks are playing their cards in defense mode, but that does not. Even if this card's a 1-for-1, it doesn't matter. It still did something. At worst case, for a card that's a worst case, it's either an MST or a Smashing Ground, and it puts a spell engrave. I don't. There's no way. I don't think I would. I don't think I could make this deck without three Lightning Storm in it. I almost see this as a staple in this deck now, for strictly going second build, obviously. That's just the way I see it. The Manifest Fusion, obviously, for the two Foolish Burial Goods. The one Mind Control, again, we're breaking boards here, so Mind Control is really, really good. Um, two Mystic Mine. This deck, for this card, I should say, should probably be banned by now, but if you have looked at any of the recent top cuts for Adamantipator, um, for how they are building their main deck, what they're playing, game one, if you go Dark Ruler No More, Mystic Mine, I think I have yet to see a list that could break a game one Mystic Mine. If I did that to them, or if I go like, because even I can go like Widow Anchor, Chalice, Lightning Storm, Dark Ruler No More, like any of those cards Afterburner, and they all bait out negates, or like start playing monsters if I need to, and then I crash in one and then play the Mystic Mine. Like all those cards, if this card resolves, the game ends. Like it's instantly over. We just go to the next game. So I'm just gonna deck them out. So that's why I play Mystic Mine. It's kind of like a cheesy auto win, but like it does buy you time that you need sometimes, and that's very rare. I'm not gonna say that you need time for this deck a lot, but this deck can definitely keep up with a lot of the current decks. Like Elrich has a. I thought that was going to be a blowout matchup. I thought we were going to lose that 100% of the time, and it turns out Sky Striker actually does better against Elrich than I initially thought. And I have a feature match of that on my uh, channel if you want to go back and watch that. Um, I also played two Mystical Space Typhoon. This is a new inclusion. I was not playing this originally, and I really just wanted more ways to out Buster Whelp, Elrich, Back Row, and to destroy my own Area Zero. All three of those are very relevant and very valid for playing this. It it's like it will always come up in my opinion. Like I can always make a situation where this comes up, and you have to remember any card that is dead, I can always hit it with Area Zero or multi roll to get it off the field, and I get value out of it from getting a Skystriker card from my deck. So any card I can just send it away with Area Zero to get a free card. So yeah, MST I think is very very good, and it's very good against even though it's a Cosmic Cyclone against Elrich. You know most of the time where their power cards are, depending on how they set or what they set with their cards from the graveyard, from whether it be the Eldixirs or the Golden Lands. So a lot of the times you already know where the cards are that you need to hit, and you can ping them depending on what your hand is, and then play around the rest. Then we played Two Pot of Desires, which is very, very. I'm like niche on this card. I'm like back and forth, but overall, it's in the deck. It still says draw two cards, and sometimes you banish your multi roll, sometimes you banish your Hornet drones, you banish your anchors. It sucks, but I bite the bullet and I do it anyway. I just think this card is worth it for now. I play one rota, one set rotation. I'm not going to explain those. Obviously, I play Mystic Mine and Area Zero. Um, 2 Area 0. I don't play 3 because I was bricking with field spells a lot, and I do not want that to keep happening. It was a problem I was having, and I don't want to have to worry about that. I play triple Afterburner. This is new to the new Sky Striker builds, and it is very, very good. Afterburner is a crazy card for a non-targeting back row removal option, and it puts Elrish players in awkward positions. Like I said, it outs the Buster Dragon, and it's very, very good in rogue matchups as well. Hornet drones. I'm not going to explain that. Two shark cannon. This has been a debatable three of for a long time. Um, it's either like the greatest card in the world or it's completely dead. It helps you push for OTKs a lot. Being able to steal a Link 2 monster is very relevant in this deck. Now even a Link 3 monster, you can do some new stuff with the new set, Eternity Code. So I mean, Shark Cannon's really really good, pushing for game. Uh, that same goes for 2 Widow Anchor, which will also help push for game. And obviously is the major form of interruption for the deck. Being able to take your opponent's monsters is still as overpowered as it was in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Then we play the one multi-role. That's pretty self-explanatory. I opted to play one Herc base. I like this card in particular because it is infinite resources. You can literally never run out of cards if you play just one of this. Yeah, if you hit off desires, it'll happen. But just having the one Herc base in the deck, or being able to be facilitated, um, is very very good. One terraforming, obviously, and one upstart goblin because we're playing Sky Striker and we need to put spells in the graveyard. Um, for the side deck, I am playing the package of the new Gizmek Fox from Eternity Code. This card has a lot of applications in this deck, and there's still more that I'm experimenting with and ideas that I'm trying to mess with. But for now, I have the 3 boxes and the barrier statues of both Torrent and of the I don't remember the name of it, the Rock statue. Um, the reason I'm playing the Rock statue as well is because against the Adamancipator deck, when they go into any Adamancipator card excavates and summons from the deck, you can summon this. And you're probably thinking, well, can't they just go into like anything because they're a rock deck, so they have plenty of earths? You'll be surprised to find out that they actually have a hard time outing this because a lot of the top decks right now are not playing Nightmare Cerberus. So when you do this into the rock on turn one, they actually have a struggle continue playing. They can summon a bunch of Adamancipators, but on your turn, you can really like break the board and they just run out of resources if they do, if you know they if they choose to summon a bunch of Adamancipators to keep going. You can usually run their resources out from there, and then you can just control the game from Shark Hands, Widow Anchors, and stuff like that. So the Fox, I've been really trying to think about theories with. I think this card is very, very good. You can also trigger it off things like Area 0 going to the graveyard. That is very relevant. It also is triggered, or not triggered, but it can also summon out both Ray and Rose if they have a dark monster or a white monster, respectively, because they both have 1500 attack and defense. Um, that is very important, and it can help unbrick your hand if this is in it and you need to be able to get to a monster, which also allows Shizuku to be triggered on your opponent's turn 0, technically. So your turn 0. So you get a free ad and you get your monster going, and with Ray and Graveyard already. So I think that's pretty good. So that's why I decided to play it. And I decided to play 3 Ghost Reaper and 3 targets. Um, as you know, the Rock deck can play very, very heavily around hand traps, and I was trying to figure out the most important and impactful ones that won't lose to things like Cookie Mirror Guardian and stuff like that. And I found Reaper and the Fox ended up being the 2 very impactful ones that could just end their turn completely. So if you Reaper them and hit Gallic Granite, they might be able to make a negate, maybe 2, but they're not going to be able to extend very, very far without getting access to Block Dragon. And then I played the 3 Reaper targets, Wolf, Grand Knight, and Mechaba. I feel like these are the 3 cards that I've been playing the most. Salamangreat, Rock Deck, and Invoked Engine. And then I play 1 Red Reboot and 3 Solemn Judgment. The 3 Judgment is if we go first, and they force us to go first. And they're siding in things like Lightning Storm and stuff. We need to be able to protect ourselves. I think Some Judgment's a good option for that. And Red Reboot, I was playing Red Reboot for the Outrich deck or any other back row deck. I don't know if this is going to stay this. This might be Pancratops, might be better. But I like this because I can go things like Red Reboot and the Lightning Storm. I think that's very, very relevant. So yeah, it's just a power card completely. And then for the extra deck, it's one access code talker. This card is crazy in this deck. The fact that you can banish one, two, three, four, five different Sky Striker monsters in one turn and destroy 5 cards is insane to me. So this card is a hefty, hefty card. Boral Sword Dragon for OTKs. I was going to cut this for access code, but there were situations where Boral Sword Dragon is strictly better because you can kill through 2 monsters after you shoot one Hayate directly. So most of the time, your opponent will be at 6,500. They make a board. You do not lose, and you can usually get to a Boral Sword Dragon with things like Anchor and Shark Cannon and Zeke. So you can usually attack over a monster and then attack over another monster, and as long as there is a 500 difference between the 2 monsters that are in attack mode, you will win the game. I also play Cerberus and Phoenix because I need to be able to out any problematic cards in pre order, stuff like that. They're just generically good, and the draw effects are very relevant. I decided to cut Hayate down to 2 because I do not go into 3 like ever, and I realized that after like I don't know 50 games, I thought it was a staple, but you really do not go into third Hayate that much. 3 Kagare, that is definitely a staple. 1 Kaina, she is a clutch card. She wins so many games. I would never cut this. I've never needed more, but she is amazing. 3 Shizuku, that's a staple. And Zeke, probably one of my favorite cards in this deck completely. I think this card is very underestimated. A Farfa that is for both your turn and your opponent's turn, and it comes back, so then you can use it with things like Widow Anchor to go for game. I think that's crazy. You can banish Golden Ward. That's crazy. If you banish the trap cards, um, they die instantly. You can also banish Block Dragon, and that loses their access for that turn. Like this card is so overpowered in every single matchup, and it has never been dead. You can also against Shadal, this is very specific. You can banish itself, and then you end with no monsters. But on your turn, it comes back, or on their end phase, it comes back, so that you can't get Shadal fusion. These are all very relevant applications. I cannot stress that enough. How crazy this card is. So, like I said, this is the most competitively viable deck that I am currently playing and testing. I've been liking it a lot. Is there things I could still change? Yes, definitely, possibly. Will they change? Most likely, yes, because this format is still evolving because it's all online. Now, my other list that I have is a way more fun list. I would this monstrosity that I have created, and this is when I was getting very frustrated with not having enough spells in my graveyard. So I played the Toon Table engine, but I couldn't figure out a good card that I wanted to get off Toon Table, and that ended up being Toon World. Because I felt that this card just was the easiest way because I didn't like Toon Cyber Dragon. It was the easiest way to use Area Zero on it, and then you can just get in our spell engrave anyway and get a free card out of it. Worst case, excuse me. And then we also, after we did this, I'm like, man, these like, if you draw multiples, it sucks. So I'm trying to think of cards that like can facilitate value off of these. So I read through all the Toon cards and I put in 3 Comic Can to help break boards as well. Now, Comic Can's just Snatch Deal, but it's not once per turn and makes the monster a Toon. These are very relevant because they can poke directly. It does not negate the effects, so if it is a negation, you can, negate your opponent's cards with it. And then I also put in a 1 Toon Kingdom. That is because if I ever this was ever destroyed by my opponent, if I go Comic Can, I wanted another option, and that was Toon Kingdom, and I can set off set rotation. I usually give this to my opponent, and then when they activate it, it banishes 3 cards from their deck face down, which could be an important piece. I don't know if it would be, but it can be, and I think that's like I've definitely hit some important cards, important one of cards. So yeah, and it's very searchable between set rotation and terraforming. But you only play one of it because you don't want to brick on them, obviously. But this is just more of a fun, more for fun list. If you want to mess around with that, I think it's fun. And as we all know, Toon Chaos is coming around the corner. That's we do not know what is in it, but if there is any Toon, specifically Toon spell card that is generically good, I will be very pleased to be returning to this build specifically and trying something new again because I very much thought this deck was fun and enjoyable. It feels very good comic canning your opponent, especially multiple times in a turn. So yeah, if you want to give this a shot, give it a shot. Um, then moving on, I have other ideas that I was considering for Sky Striker in general, and it's just a little small list here. Um, so in this list, we have a little mini kaiju package, and the reason that the kaiju package I would say, decent is because you can obviously Slumber is like a hell of a card. It clears the board. Kaijus are hell of a cards because they tribute over and then it outs something immediately. You don't have to worry about it. They also synergize with the Gizmek. So what happens is, say your opponent goes first, you can go Dark Ruler, um, activate Slumber, summon. So you give them the Raijin and you get the Gamma Seal. Or you can change it into whatever you need to be. It probably should be the 3300 Kaiju, the white one, because you can switch it vice versa. You can then activate Gizmek from your hand to summon itself, and then you can target the Raijin or white monster, depending whichever one you're referring to. And like I said earlier, you can bring out Ray or Rose. I think that is very, very strong to do, especially right now. And it's not like it has a small body; it's 2,000 attack. So that damage on board is already like over like 5,000 damage, I believe. Just thinking about it, and you get your engine going because you get your Ray access. So yeah, that was my theory behind it. Obviously they're not in the deck right now. This is just something that I thought about, and I'm like, ooh, that's kind of nifty after thinking about the Gizmek. Um, and then moving on, there was Into the Void and Performer Pal Popper Upper. Um, Into the Void, I decided not to play because I usually end on cards in hand, and I like hand traps. Even if you go like end phase, resolve Into the Void, then activate Shizuku. I don't like having the one card. I like having backup plays. And if you end on an extra Ray or a Rose, it's just not good. You don't want to discard them. You'd rather have them as backup plans. So yeah, that's why I decided not to play Into the Void. Performer Pal Popper Upper, on the other hand, I decided to not play because one, the damage was too hefty. A lot of times you're taking 2 to 3,000 damage, and I could not stand it. I hate being that low, especially in Sky Striker when your monsters are not that big. And two, Ash Blossom is a super killer for this card. If they Ash Blossom your Performer Pal, you are down like 2 to 3 cards just instantly off of that Ash. If you were to play this, I would recommend playing something like Call by the Grave, maybe Gamma, because you can pitch Driver off this and get more cards. So, I mean, it's hand in hand. So if they Ash Blossom you, you get rewarded for it. So maybe that's something to consider. Also, fun fact again, Gamma, if you Gamma your opponent, that will also trigger Gizmek. So a fun interaction is you can Gamma them, special driver, and then summon Gizmek, and then depending on what they have the board, you can summon back Ray. You can summon out Ray or Rose respectively. I feel like my theory always ties back to this card. This card just is a very recent card. I think in the last 48 hours this was figured out. So I've been thinking about a lot about it. Um, then we have Pot of Avarice. I'm going to talk about this one first. Um, Pot of Avarice, I was in my list for a very long time. After about opening it up like 5 times, I realized I would just rather have Avarice be Hercules base because unlike Hercules base, Avarice does nothing going second, and you need to break a board. It's not good turn one. It is only good after turn one. And turn one, in my opinion, is the most important turn because that's the turn you need to break the board and make your own defenses, and then after that you can start grinding them out. So when you have this one dead pot of Avarice in your hand, it's a problem. Unlike Hercules base, where you can equip it to at least Hayate and attack or possibly attack over monsters to draw extra cards. Those are all very relevant and can give value. Um, and yeah, like it's actually a real card, and it's also a Sky Striker card for Area Zero. So, I mean, it's just more engine facilitating in my opinion. The draw two is obviously I want anybody wants to draw 2 cards. Pot agrees, banned obviously, but the condition of when this card was banned originally to what it is now, this game is just too fast for what this card is until it slows down again to maybe like another Sky Striker meta like we had a year ago or so. I don't think this card will be played uh, until then. Yeah, like I don't think this card's gonna be played even in the top decks because like look at Adamantipator. They're not gonna play Avarice. If they combo, they win. So why do they need it? And this is only live if they combo. So I don't think Avarice is very good. Sadly, as much as I love this card. Pot of Desires. Yeah, like I said, I am playing it in my list right now, but is so iffy. Like this card hurts so much. So maybe I was thinking about trying to find some kind of other option, and then leading to the other option, I was thinking about Pot of Extravagance. Um, I the logic behind the Pot of Extravagance choice would be you cut the Desires and you play 2 Extravagance. When you play the 2 Extravagance, you change the extra completely. There is 5 different Sky Striker Link monsters. You would play 3 of all of them, and you would probably play the Hercules base, possibly a second Hercules base. Um, because it's very important that you need to be able to keep facilitating them. Um, but that was just an idea. I did not go through with that idea. I do not think that would have worked out very well, but it was something that I thought about. I don't know. Maybe I'll test it. Who knows? But this card is straight pot of greed, and it's literally what Sky Striker wants, but the cost is so hefty from your monster, from losing your Link monsters that fast. And then I was playing the other day, and to an opponent playing Pendulum, and he suggested possibly a spellbook engine that his friend was testing out, who's playing Sky Striker. He was a very nice guy in Dueling Book, and I appreciate his input. Um, but the reason that I did not play the spellbook engine was because I did not want to sacrifice my normal summon on Blue Boy. It is, that's not what I want to normal summon. I want to summon Ray or Rose to get my engine going. It's more important in my opinion. So I opted to not play the spellbook cards. I thought they were really cool. They are very interesting, innovative, and obviously, if you go spellbook cards and then you hit like Area Zero multi roll, like obviously that's just crazy. But like, the odds of that happening is very low. So if you want to test it out and try it, feel free. Like these are all cards you can try. That is the point of why I'm showing these. I also opted to not play Magician Souls, and I forget this card's name. Um, but yeah, it's a decent card. It's to stop any time your spellcaster gets targeted. You can summon it back from the graveyard, and you send it off Magician Souls. Actually, I can just look it up right now. Hang on, I think I have it still pulled up. Let's see. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. There it is. There it is. Oracle Mana. This card. I'm just gonna have it on here. Um. So yeah, if it's if your Magician Souls get targeted, you can you can bring it back and revive it, and then you would play this would go back to the spellbook engine. You would go back to them, and then you can make Crowley, and then you can get more advantage that way and get more spells to facilitate your engine more. So it was a good idea. Um, I ended up not going for it. I don't like playing the brick. Like this would be a brick. This would be a brick by itself. So I have to not to do it. But I thought it was a cool idea. And you have to remember all these cards. Like you're probably like, oh, Jared, you're really playing a lot of cards that summon monsters to your side of the field, and Sky Striker wants the main monster zone empty. But you have to remember Zeke. This card is a champion, and it clears my own board very, very, very well. So whether it be you link off a monster and one of your Sky Strikers into Zeke and banishing your own monster, or you link them all into Nightmare, Cerberus, and Phoenix to pop their cards, and then you go into Zeke with the Nightmare, Cerberus, and Phoenix, and then you go into Shizuku, so you clear your own monster zones. Um, it really opens up a lot of possibilities for the deck, in my opinion. And then we also have a Pointer of the Red Lotus. This could be possibly main deck if you choose to go first. But this could also be a replacement for Solemn Judgment in the side deck, or you could just play more of them if you want to play Judgment and a Pointer. You're paying a lot of life points, but it prevents you from getting Lightning Stormed and evenly matched and stuff like that. So you never know. Like I think this card is definitely viable. If you get your engine going, if they make you go first, you can possibly use this. But yeah, I have not played it. I have not tried it, but I just feel like Judgment is better right now. That's just my own personal opinion, but maybe I'll give this a shot soon. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for all of my Sky Striker stuff that I'm currently thinking about and going through in my head. So yeah, these are all the list one more time. I have this Toon version that I hope we get some good Toon support and Toon Chaos coming out, and we can mess with it more. But for now, this is my list for this one, and this is my main competitive list for now. Um, One last note: this is very relevant to this Gizmek card. I've been thinking about this card a lot since it got blown up, and I actually read it and like put more theory behind it. If you actually look up cards that have equal attack and defense. So if you go in Dueling Book and you click in, I could just do this right now actually. So if you go to Monster and you go to Effect, because that's the only thing you're going to be summoning, and I'm going to do this one specifically because I'm like a psychopath. I went through a lot of them. If you type in 500, 500, 500, and 500, because that's be equal attack and defense, you'll notice that the Baby Stegosaurus falls under this category, along with the Petite Pteranodon. Um, that is just something I wanted to throw out there. I know that some Dino players play kaijus. So yeah, maybe there's something going on there that you can do. Who knows? But it is definitely something to think about it, in to say the least. but there's definitely other options for that Kismet card. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this was a long video of just talking and pretty much me ranting about what I've been thinking about this past week of cards and theories and the meta and these online tournaments I've been going through, the deck profiles and stuff, and their theories. And you really have to think about ways to counter that. So those are just my honest to God thoughts of what's going on right now. So yeah, either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a like or comment and subscribe if you have not. I really appreciate it. Obviously I'm just starting out an early channel, but I'm trying to put my all into these videos. I'm not gonna try to make these 10-minute videos and just max out on ads. If there's information to be put out, I'm going to put it out. So either way, I hope you guys liked it, and we will see you in the next video.